I found like this pathway that made me come alive, that made me so intensely open to everything in the universe, to ideas, to creativity, to knowledge, to connection and romance. And I just felt alive. And I started falling in love with everything, everywhere, music and people and ideas. And it was like an engine started. It was remarkable. And it was this series of revelations that stimulated my brain in a way that was extraordinary. I remember thinking, I was there on a Monday night trying to make shortbread, and Yost had left me on my own. I was like, right, how do you, I was bluffing and telling him that I could do this thing, and I had no idea. I was a relatively okay chef by this point, but I didn't know how to mill flour because, I'm skipping ahead there, but when you deal with nature, you don't buy flour, you buy wheat. When you want to buy butter, you don't buy butter, you buy cream. So there I was trying to make shortbread, and I had cream and I had whole wheat. Yost had a certain degree of prescience, and he gave me a flour mill and a mixer to churn butter. So I churned butter, and I remember it was a Monday night. This is one of the most significant evenings of my life. And I churned the butter, and I milled the flour, and I was just like flour everywhere and buttermilk slapping against the walls. And 3 hours in, and I'd finally got the raw ingredients to make shortbread. And I was drinking some wine on tap. We had these taps, this hilarious tap system that was such a tight little cafe that the kegs were underneath the benches where people sat because there was no space for kegs. So the seats were on kegs, and there's this amazing biodynamic wine from beautiful Australian winemaking country. And so drinking a bit of wine and making shortbread. And anyway, so 4 hours in, I was like, right, finally made the shortbread dough. And I was like, this is hard work. And then I popped it in the oven and took it out, and took twice as long to bake, and it looked completely different. And I'd made shortbread thousands of times. I worked at St. John, and we always made shortbread. So I could do it blindfolded. And this was this kind of abstraction from what I knew was making shortbread. And it was all very profound. And
how'd it taste?
Well, this is it.
There we go.
This is the moment. I ate it, and everything changed. Everything changed. I tasted it, and I could taste grass, and I could taste wheat, and I could taste nuts, and I could taste nature. And I was like, wow, it was so profound. And it was like, you have like mental chatter. And when you have ADHD, which I think I have, there's a lot of my mind's just always chattering. It just went silent. And what I realized in that moment, this was like, it's just such a significant revelation, is that I'm trying to not have a bin. I've been cooking in the world's best restaurants for 10 plus years, trying to like find flavor. And here I am trying to not have a bin. And I found one of the most remarkable upgrades of flavor in any transitional process in gastronomy. It's just shortbread, right? It's just such a basic fundamental thing. But the transformation of flavor from what I was doing versus every other shortbread that existed in the planet, this was this holy grail. This was this transcendental shortbread. And I realized in that moment, oh my God, this is gold. Zero waste is the future of food.
Jeez. I also wonder, like,
that's such an
part of it's like it's like that metaphor. Like, you can get a helicopter to the top of a mountain and you go, yeah, it's a beautiful view. But if you hike it yourself and you get all the way up there, suddenly you're like, you appreciate it. And I wonder, part of that was that you went through the toil and the hardship of working out, how the hell do I mill that flour? How do I churn the butter? So by the time you made the shortbread, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to make love to this shortbread, metaphorically speaking.
Maybe it was the wine.
But it does sound when it was like, shit, I want to that shortbread.
But it doesn't stop there. That was the beginning. That was like the engine being turned on, and that just kind of gave way to this avalanche of various thoughts. And then I was thinking, this is really the framework of Silo. This very night, this architecture appeared in my mind. And it was this thing. I'm trying I was trying to like figure out, right, I've not got a bin. And so what am I avoiding? And I was like, right, where does waste exist? And I was thinking about, packaging and tracing it back to like wholesalers. And I was like, right, okay, these kind of couriers, the people that aren't from a farm. And I'm dealing now with farmers, and farmers don't have all this plastic and polystyrene and unnecessary, packaging. And I was like, what's the difference in my mind trying to like silo these kind of archetypes of the food industry? And I realized that we had what's unique about a bunch of farmers coming into this little establishment. And I was like thinking about this world of like industrial, plastic and polystyrene and pollution and road miles and confusing logistics. I was like, this umbrella term, industrialism. So what I'm doing different to that? And I was like, pre-industrial. What did a food system look like in the 18th century? It looked like what I'm doing now. And I then coined the term, this is a pre-industrial food system. And then I was like, where does waste come from? And then I was like, and then I had this vision, and I don't know if it came in this order. This was a long time ago, and I was drinking some wine. But I had this vision of a bin in the jungle and realized there is no bin in the jungle. I was thinking about nature. I was like, there is no bin in nature. It's a human thing. Waste is a human thing. We've designed it into the world, and it's damaging the world in ways which are irrevocable. So therefore, it is our responsibility to design it out again. The whales and the animals did not bring waste into the world, but they're dying as a result of that waste. And I just thought, wow, me.
You're allowed to first go for it, yeah.
Like, oh my God, like, and then this just like pathway in my mind opened, and that is silo, and that's just the beginning. And that was just the beginning, and a whole bunch of other things, part of the avalanche of ideas kind of opened. But yeah, that was the beginning of 2012, I believe, in Melbourne. And that's how it started.
Doug found the train.
But even in your book, I've read your book and it's brilliant. And I've only highlighted a few pages. And one of them at the very end is zero waste is nature. It says to achieve zero waste is to integrate with nature. A natural food system cannot create waste because everything is nature. Zero waste is nature, which I think is, you've just like...
Yeah. Take humans out of the equation, there is no waste.